Mike Bernard joins us again as he does every Monday morning, Tuesday. Man, you join us all the time, Mike. I tell you, it's good to have you back. And let's look at tonight's game. Georgia State, the Panthers, taking on the Mountaineers of App State. This is a Sun Belt Conference matchup, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. This App State team is hard to figure out. 3-3, wins over Texas A&M, Troy, and the Citadel, but they've lost to North Carolina in a game they probably should have won, James Madison and Texas State. Now, the Texas State game, it was a bad loss.
Yeah.
Now, Georgia State, the Panthers, disappointing start to the season after coming off of a bowl win last year. Georgia State, though they came out and they just didn't look like the same team. They lost their first 4 games, but seems like they've righted the ship and they've won the last 2 over Army and Georgia Southern games that I really didn't think that they would win.
Yeah, they did lose their first 4, but they were competitive in all 4. They led South Carolina in the second half, lost by 14. They lost to North Carolina and Charlotte, both by 1 score. So they were competitive. Appalachian State, Mountaineers have been a disappointment. They've underperformed for sure. Their last game, you mentioned Texas State and a bad loss. That was a 12-point loss to Texas State, and App State was favored by 3 touchdowns.
Again, hard to get a read on what happened in that game. I think you mentioned, they were down 33-10, I believe, in the fourth quarter. They maybe the bye week will help them. Sometimes a bye week lets you kind of recharge your batteries and regroup, and you come out with a new focus. Sometimes it just makes you go down in the dumps even more. So we'll see how that affects the Mountaineers. Sun Belt Conference, though, Mike, it's been a hard conference to read all season. And most of the time, the Sun Belt is pretty cut and dried when you look at it. But Marshall, they beat Notre Dame, and they're in last place in the East Division. And then, again, we talked about App State beating Texas A&M, and they're tied for second to last in the East. So, I mean, again, the Sun Belt's just hard to read this year.
Right, and those non-conference games, you're seeing Sun Belt teams go out and garner much respect nationally by beating those teams. But then they get in conference play, and it's just a bunch of you can call it it's just been mediocre. And also on that point, the Monarchs of Old Dominion, they're 3-3 overall, but they're unbeaten in conference play. So it's a real tough conference to read. Take a look inside the numbers for tonight's primetime game. Georgia State's covered 7 of their last 8 away from home. This is also a series that favors the road team. The road team's covered 6 out of 7. Now, App State, they've failed to cover 5 straight conference games because their numbers are usually inflated. I just don't see any value in this number, so I'm on a pass, but I will watch the game because it's the only football game on today.